weer. Veel bewolking en op de meeste plaatsen droog. Middagtemperatuur rond 8 graden. Waarschuwing voor de scheepvaart. Alle districten Zuidwest 6. Einde van de
The business of Europe gets into gear. Throughout the continent, in cities large and small, goods start their journey to the market. A journey from manufacturer, from distributor, from supplier to customer. A journey to profit. On that road to profit, there is a group of professionals who keep the goods of Europe on the move day in, day out. Truckers, transport companies, shipping operations all make their special and unique contribution to the economic health of Europe. A professional contribution based on professional experience, professional knowledge, professional dedication, and making use of equipment. Designed to meet specific needs and built to meet the most rigid demands. Professional equipment built for professionals by professionals. DAF Trucks is a young company specialized in producing, developing and selling professional products for professional users. A company which can exploit more than 65 years of experience in transport technology. The innovations which were introduced by DAF changed the face of the industry. The turbocharger, introduced in 1959. Intercooling, introduced in 1973. A cleaner, quieter engine, introduced in 1981. Advanced turbo intercooling, introduced in 1985. A noise reduction package, introduced in 1989. In 1993, DAF Trucks is the first to offer Euro 2 engines, already meeting the most stringent EC norms for the second half of the 90s. A proud tradition, and one which is being continued by DAF Trucks. In addition, there are a number of national organizations in Holland, Belgium, the UK, France, Germany, Italy and Switzerland responsible for activities within these major markets. In other European markets, the products will be marketed by independent importers. Today, the total workforce is approximately 3,500 people. The majority are stationed in Eindhoven, Holland, while an important number are active in Westerlo, Belgium. The rest is employed by the national organizations. DAF Trucks, a lean organization producing and selling some 10,000 trucks a year and achieving a projected annual turnover of some 2 billion guilders. Certainly, the highly modern range of professional products designed, produced and marketed by DAF Trucks NV makes such a projection more than realistic. For DAF offers trucks which provide dedicated solutions to the most diverse demands in the market, and which can be further tailored to individual needs. The DAF 45, the perfect get-around town vehicle. Lightweight, maneuverability and low curb weight is of great value. A truck which feels at home in busy urban traffic, but is not afraid of motorways either. A full-blooded distribution vehicle. The DAF 65, developed to handle the demands of town and regional distribution. A work area which requires reliability, adaptability, and a particularly environmentally friendly engine. Its relatively low, unladen weight gives the truck a remarkably high payload. The DAF 75, the all-rounder. Suitable for the most diverse types of operation, with a wide choice of different axle configurations and powered by a totally newly developed 8.6-litre ATI engine, this truck is the perfect proposition for a great diversity of transport applications, from medium weight to heavy distribution work on a regional or national basis. The DAF 85, the dedicated truck for the heavy work. Intensive medium-range transport and long-haul transport, and suitable for a wide range of applications. Configurations to meet the most demanding requirements made on truck and driver. The DAF 95, a top-of-the-bill masterpiece of power and reliability. Designed to eat its way effortlessly and efficiently across countries, across the continent. It has been given a new interior and higher engine ratings. As a result, this showpiece now provides an even better answer to the wishes of the international haulage operator and its driver, making a professional contribution to a professional operation. An operation which must continue no matter what. Indeed, part of the philosophy of DAF Trucks is to accept responsibility for its partners before sales and long afterwards. And with the quality of the product ensured by a dedicated organization, the continued use of that product is supported throughout Europe by professional dealers who understand not only the product, but also the market.
Okay? Yes, a big sigh of relief. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, they'll be coming from near Frankfurt, yes?
Yes, yes.
You expect them to arrive?
Dealers who understand that instant reaction is essential. Supported by the team of DAF's unique international truck service who are on standby 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, realizing that everything must be done to support a trucking operation professionally. Doing business with DAF Trucks means doing business with professionals. Professionals who understand the trucking business, both from the product side and from the operational side. And in this day of increasing competition, can you afford to do with less?
In the early 80s, DAF starts to develop a totally new vehicle for heavy long-distance haulage. The DAF 95 proves to be a well-balanced vehicle, In 1987, DAF brings the future of road haulage literally to life. Comfort in the cab is extremely important to DAF. To ensure an optimum driving position, every DAF 95 has a wide range of adjustments on the driver's seat and on the steering column. And all controls are within easy reach. In everyday practice, the 95 series satisfies the highest endurance requirements. This is evident from the low maintenance costs. In brief, DAF's new truck series is fully tailored to meet the highest demands of heavy, long-distance haulage. The trade press is enthusiastic to the point of being lyrical about the qualities of the DAF 95. The DAF 95 sets new standards for comfort, ergonomics and performance. There is unanimous agreement on this in international transport circles. DAF 95 drivers personally experience how much DAF has taken note of their wishes and their requirements. Following the great acclaim received from the press, transport operators and drivers, it's hardly surprising that the DAF 95 is elected Truck of the Year by an international panel of prominent trade journalists. When the market calls for higher engine outputs, DAF responds with a 330, a 360 and a 400 horsepower plant for the DAF 95 series. In 1991, the Euromaster is introduced as the top of the line. With exclusive Euromaster badging, it goes without saying that the Euromaster's standard specifications include some extras which make it an extremely efficient vehicle. The Euromaster fully utilizes the maximum European combination length by permitting 13.6 meters of load length, and 400 horsepower at a gross combination weight of 40 tons means 10 horsepower per ton, an optimum balance between payload, performance and cost. The new generation DAF 95 is the perfect truck, perfected. Higher engine output, more payload and greater load volume, many built-in extras for efficient loading and unloading, and of course, enhanced driver comfort. The cab trimming is now blue, which makes it less sensitive to dirt. New fabrics have been used of an even higher quality than before, which keep their shape longer and better. In brief, on the inside too, the DAF 95 is the perfect truck, perfected. The DAF 95 can be specified with an extra heavy front axle with a maximum capacity of 8.5 tons. As compared to the 7.5-ton front axle, this heavier version gives 870 kilos extra payload. The noise emission level of the original DAF 95 concept was already as low as 84 decibels. Extra encapsulation and new provisions for insulation have reduced the drive-by noise of a DAF 95 to only 80 decibels, ahead of the future European standard. The driver of a DAF 95 has one of the most advanced engines in Europe. The compact 11.6-litre six-cylinder inline engine is available in the new 430 horsepower version, as well as the 400, 360 and 330 horsepower options. All of them with ATI, guaranteeing excellent performance and efficiency over a wide engine speed range. At the end of a long day on international routes, a good night's rest is essential. The comfortable 95 cab offers everything needed for this. In response to drivers' requests, the bunk is now fitted with a one-piece mattress, 60 centimetres wide and 12 centimetres thick. Easy routine checks. All DAF 95 models can be specified with the 9 NOx engines. These engines, which give a substantial reduction of noxious gas emissions, demonstrate DAF's continuous commitment to the environment. Payload, load volume and reliability. That's what it's all about in long-distance haulage. For this reason, DAF is now introducing the low-deck tractor. It permits a tractor semi-trailer combination with a load volume as large as 100 cubic meters. The extra load volume is obtained by lowering the load bed. The DAF 95 low-deck tractor can draw semi-trailers with a useful internal height of 3 meters. This is possible thanks to the extremely low fifth wheel height of 93 centimeters. The DAF 95 is renowned for its formidable driving characteristics. These qualities, of course, also apply to the low-deck version. Apart from rear axle air suspension, DAF now offers air suspension on the DAF 95 front axle too. This makes for fast and easy chassis height adjustments at the front as well as the rear. The ideal solution for operators using demountable bodies, but it also saves time at loading platforms. Extra comfort is provided by the electronically controlled ACAS air suspension system. The perfect truck perfected. The new generation DAF 95.
DAF kijkt naar de toekomst. De ontwikkelingsafdeling mocht vrijelijk techniek voor de komende generatie vrachtwagens gaan bedenken. Het resultaat? De FCV, het Future Concept Vehicle. Een denktank met kleine details, zoals koplampen met grote lichtopbrengst, zoals die in personenauto's worden ingebouwd. Maar ook met grote, revolutionaire ideeën. De vormgeving van de cabine is tijdsgebonden en op dit moment dus niet relevant. Wel belangrijk is het totale concept om de laadcapaciteit te maximaliseren, de efficiency te vergroten, de milieubelasting te verkleinen en het comfort en de veiligheid van de chauffeur te vergroten. Alhoewel de chauffeur vaak niet te koper is, besteedt DAF veel aandacht aan zijn werkplek. Immers, hij brengt een deel van zijn leven in de cabine door. In die cabine van de FCV zit dan ook het beste van het beste voor de bestuurder. Van verstelbare stoelen tot een hypermodern en overzichtelijk dashboard. De koeling is voor het motorblok weggehaald en zit nu links en rechts van de auto. De motor zelf heeft men laten zakken. Mede daardoor is er nu een onafhankelijke voorwielophanging mogelijk. De onderzoekafdeling van DAF verdiept zich uitputtend in de wijze waarop trucks in de toekomst moeten worden uitgevoerd. Om het rijdend testlaboratorium gemakkelijk met diverse appendages te kunnen uitrusten, kon de FCV niet worden gebouwd op een conventioneel chassis zoals wij dat al tientallen jaren kennen. Onder de cabine van de DAF FCV zijn alle componenten op een ongebruikelijke manier opgesteld. Zo staan de radiateurs van de koeling onder in beeld en de intercooler, net als in de Formule 1 auto's, naast de motor in V-vorm opgesteld. De radiateur van de koeling wordt zichtbaar als de traptreden aan de kant van de bestuurder opengaan. Deze plaatsing heeft voordelen voor de koeling. Een van de meest revolutionaire ideeën was om een kokerchassis te gaan gebruiken in plaats van het oude laddersysteem. Door de koker is het chassis zo'n 2,5 maal stijver geworden, waardoor een beter rijgedrag ontstaat. Een ander voordeel is dat de aandrijving in de koker loopt, waardoor de wagen dus stiller wordt. Het revolutionaire kokerchassis is relatief eenvoudig en goedkoop te bouwen, terwijl het toch aan alle ontwerpeisen voldoet. Bovendien is het licht en ijzersterk, waardoor de ophanging buiten de constructie kon worden aangebracht. Evenals hulponderdelen zoals brandstoftanks en accu's. Een andere techniek die men uit de Formule 1 overnam was dat de remmen zich niet meer binnen de wielen bevinden, maar naast het differentieel gemonteerd zijn. En natuurlijk spreken we over luchtgekoelde remschijven. Het Future Concept Vehicle is uitgerust met 2 aangedreven assen. Gelijk met de voorwielen wordt de eerste aangedreven as meegestuurd. De stuurhoek is afhankelijk van de uitslag van de voorwielen. De wendbaarheid wordt daarmee sterk vergroot. Het systeem is uitgerust met een ZF Servotronic stuurbekrachtigingssysteem. Alle elektrische componenten bevinden zich onder dit deksel. Hier vandaan wordt de wagen elektronisch gestuurd. Achterin is een tv-camera gemonteerd. Hiermee kan de chauffeur zien wat er achter zijn wagen gebeurt. Door een druk op de knop wordt het LCD-scherm gevuld met de voertuigfuncties die op een rol met symbolen over het scherm rollen. De chauffeur kan zo alles controleren. Het Future Concept Vehicle is een visitekaartje van DAF geworden, waarmee men in Eindhoven voor de dag kan komen. Een vrachtwagen met Formule 1 techniek. Bij DAF ziet men de toekomst wel zitten.
Trucking is a dynamic, non-stop business, and each segment of the distribution market has its own special demands. Long or short distance haulage, light or heavy transport, in comfortable and not so comfortable operating conditions. When you think about it, every haulage operator should really have a specially designed truck, custom built as it were. But where do you find a truck manufacturer who can do that? You don't have to look further than DAF. More than 8% of all the people employed by DAF are engaged in development and research. At the present time, DAF's vehicles manufacturing program embraces 51,000 different variants. This means that every operator can have a truck tailored to his own design profile, to his own specific requirements. A truck from DAF is a personal steel-clad agreement. At DAF Eindhoven, there are 4 main departments. First, we have the mechanical components plant. Then the engine works. The press shop. And finally, the truck assembly line. Let us take a closer look at these 4 manufacturing facilities. The mechanical components plant consists of 2 sections, the general engineering department and the gear cutting shop. In the general engineering department, about 1,300 different parts are made. As DAF vehicles are made to measure, the parts of one truck are often very different from those of another. The machines must be able to change over extremely quickly from one type of component to another type. A comprehensive investment program of £60 million in state-of-the-art machinery and matching computer equipment has allowed DAF to switch to flexible production methods. Depending upon the operation in question, the Sharman Machining Center makes its own choice from among 80 different tools. Its robot hands recognize the component and it knows exactly what it has to do. The Sharman makes 45 different products. And this is the computer-controlled Vapios, a belt grinder used for grinding timing covers and other products. The Unisign, used for lighter machining work. The Stama, which is used among other things to machine inlet and exhaust manifolds. The Chiron, which machines the water pump bodies. The Toyota. The Wiedemann. Each and every one a computer-controlled machine which does a substantial part of its work without operator intervention. Flexibility and quality characterize the production at DAF. Every employee is responsible for his own share of the production. In the gear cutting department, the work has to be done with micron accuracy. From the foundry, the gear blanks arrive at DAF looking like this. And this is what they look like when they leave. Between raw material and finished product, there is quite a program of operations. The first operation called rough machining, cutting the gears, hardening, and finishing. Making a helical gear calls for great accuracy. This is done on an Oerlikon machine. When the gears are ready, they form a set of 2 gears which are perfectly matched to each other. They are each given the same number. These precision workpieces are carefully tested at each stage of the machining process. The last test takes place in a soundproof booth because when they are in mesh and turning, the gears must produce practically no noise at all. The bearing pattern, or the way in which the gears mesh together, is carefully examined. Now it's time to move on to the heart of every DAF truck, the engine. In the engine works, more than 60 different engine types are built, and not only for trucks and buses. DAF also builds engines for ships, and generators, and cranes. DAF engines are used on a wide scale in industry both in the Netherlands and abroad. This is how it starts, with an unmachined cylinder block straight from the foundry. And at the end of the production process, it looks like this. As you can imagine, it is almost impossible to describe every operation that is done in the engine works. The cylinder blocks and cylinder heads are machined with utmost precision on computer-controlled machining centers, which can drill, tap, mill, ream, and bore. Here, you can see a connecting rod being manufactured. Also calling for extreme accuracy, the weight of a connecting rod has a tolerance of only 15 grams. The vast majority of parts needed for the engine are made at DAF's own manufacturing facilities before being assembled into complete engines. The assembly of the engine starts on a roller conveyor. The more the workpiece progresses down the line, the more impressive it becomes. Here, the cylinder head is fitted by a double robot station. The robots carry out the assembly operations according to a barcode in the specifications book that accompanies every engine. This is essential because almost every engine is different. Finally, the engine is placed on the main assembly line on a special carrier. There, the final assembly of the engine is completed in 2 hours. And then every engine is thoroughly checked and tested. In the testing shop, DAF specialists check that the engine complies with all the technical specifications and environmental requirements. Thoroughly, because the DAF name is a guarantee for economical and environment-friendly engines. After the test, the engine goes to the engine works and is painted in the spraying booth. At our next stop, the work is done on a somewhat larger scale, the pressing of metal parts in the press shop. The side members for the chassis, for example, these are made on the mainframe machining line. The folding machine shapes the steel into a U-section. The punching machine makes the holes. The plasma arc cutting machine cuts out the apertures. After all the operations have been completed, it is shot blasted and sprayed. In the press shop, they do more than press parts. They also do welding work, cutting, punching, piercing, and finishing. The computer-controlled punching and plasma arc cutting machine, the Wiedemann Magnum, receives its information directly from the CAD computer of the design department. The most impressive piece of machinery in the press shop is the giant Müller press. At a speed of 3 strokes per minute, it presses the parts which we can already start to recognize as parts of a DAF truck. And this is where that steel-clad agreement takes a tangible form, the truck assembly line in Eindhoven, with cabs and axles from the DAF subsidiary in Belgium. Components and engines from the DAF factories in Eindhoven, the large components from the press shop, and the other parts from various manufacturers at home and abroad. Final assembly can begin. In the riveting shop, the crossbeams for the chassis are riveted into position. This is the start of the riveting line where the chassis frame is assembled. The riveting line meets up with the axle line, and the axles are installed under the chassis. This assembly is transferred to another line, where the first operation is to fit all the mounting brackets. Then it is the turn of the brakes, the air suspension system, and the steering gear. Finally, the chassis is painted in the spraying tunnel. In the meantime, the engines have been prepared on a short assembly belt for installation in the chassis frame. Friction plates are fitted, and clutch assemblies, cooling fans, and hoses for the air intake and the steering pump. The chassis is ready. The engine is ready. Final assembly starts. Everything arrives exactly on schedule at the right assembly point. The further the truck progresses along the line, the more it starts to look like a real DAF, made to measure, with the equipment, the engine, the cab, the axles, and all the optional extras which were ordered by the customer. A unique piece of work. The cab is placed on the chassis. Fully trimmed and equipped, and with the interior and the color that was ordered. A precise fit on the correct chassis with the correct engine. Then the battery is fitted. The engine coolant and all the fluid-containing systems are filled. And finally, the chassis receives its wheels. At exactly the agreed time, the truck drives out of the factory, on the way to its work, exactly as agreed. One of the more than 70 trucks made by DAF each day, built to do the job for which it was ordered, and backed up by DAF's International Truck Service, ITS.
Buonasera, Guido Yolanda.
DAF's ITS is the customer's guarantee that service will be offered anywhere in Europe within 24 hours, from more than 600 service points in every country of Western Europe. That's another agreement you can rely on. The steel-clad agreement with DAF. This is DAF at its Westerlo plant in Belgium, a subsidiary which manufactures and supplies components for the DAF concern in Eindhoven. Here, the finished cabs and axle assemblies for DAF trucks are made. Westerlo is a vital link in the production of DAF trucks. Here, DAF makes both the cabs and axles in a wide range of variants. At DAF, trucks are built on the basis of a steel-clad agreement. On average, about 6,000 parts are used to build a DAF truck. You need a watertight planning to bring all these parts together from many different sources, so that precisely at the agreed time, the right truck comes off the final assembly line, made to measure, made to the precise requirements of the person who ordered it. Let us take a look at the main features of this planning. To start with, the chassis and the engine. These are manufactured in Eindhoven in exact agreement with the wishes of the customer. On the day that the truck is to be assembled in Eindhoven, the correct cab and axles also have to be present. These come from Belgium, from Westerlo. Separated by a distance of 60 kilometers, DAF employees work as a team on a made-to-measure truck. Every day, DAF transporters drive from Westerlo to Eindhoven, carrying the cabs and axles. And every day, the trucks return with the parts that have been made in Eindhoven and which we need here for the manufacture of the axles and cabs. Like the gears for the axles and the pressed steel panels for the cabs. This is the axle production plant. It is divided into two sections, manufacturing and assembly. In the manufacturing department, everything is made that is needed in the assembly department. The manufacturing department processes the raw materials and turns them into high-quality components. At one time, this was done on banks of machines grouped in line, sometimes involving 10 to 20 different machines for the various operations. In 1984, an ambitious investment program was started. DAF invested nearly 4 billion Belgian francs, or some 60 million pounds, in state-of-the-art machinery and matching computer equipment in order to achieve greater flexibility in production. The machines constantly change over from one operation to another. In the conventional machine setup, a changeover used to take 3 to 4 hours. With the high-tech equipment of today, it takes only 10 minutes. Here, in the factory where the rear axle housings are made, the work of 14 machines is now done by 2 computer-controlled CNC machines. Each type of rear axle is stored in the memory of these machines. From their built-in tool magazines, they pre-select the tools they will need for the next job. The Miebach butt welder welds the axle ends to the axle beams. With electric impulses of 1200 ampere, the parts are heated to 900 degrees Celsius and then pressed against each other. All the manufacturing operations for the differential housings are carried out on one computer-controlled machine. The axles are assembled on 2 lines. The assembly line for the front axles starts at one side of the factory. The assembly line for the rear axles starts at the other side. They meet in the middle of the shop floor, and this is arranged so that the correct front axle meets up with the correct rear axle. This calls for very careful planning, because there are many different types and combinations of axles. Then they go to the spraying booth, where they are coated with primer. But we make more than axles at Westerlo. We also make completely finished cabs. The cab manufacturing facility consists of 3 departments: the body shop, the paint line, and the trimming shop. On the new body line, the transport is automated. The spot welding work is also largely automated. Here, you can see our spot welding robot Charlie at work. On the finishing line, where the doors are fitted to the cab, the spot welding work is inspected, and the panel work is checked for the slightest deviation from DAF standards. When it has passed inspection, the cab moves on to the next stage, the paint line. The cab is raised with the lift. Before it receives its protective coats of paint, it must first be thoroughly washed in order to remove all traces of grease, oil, and weld spatter. There are 8 different immersion baths and shower stalls. In each of these, the cab is fully immersed for 7.5 minutes. When it comes out, it is completely degreased and coated with a layer of zinc phosphate. This zinc phosphate not only inhibits rust and prevents the onset of corrosion, it also ensures optimum adhesion of the subsequent coats. The cab then receives 3 more coats of paint. First, the primer layer. This is also applied in an immersion bath. The bath contains 80,000 liters of fluid in a solution of 80% water and 20% primer. The particles of paint are electrically charged and immediately cling to the metal of the cab. That is called electrocoating. Every part of the cab is covered with primer in a uniform thickness of 27 microns. Even those places which a spray gun cannot reach, like a box section and other hollow areas. The primer layer is dried at 230 degrees Celsius in a stoving oven. The next 2 layers, the filler layer and the top coat, are applied on 2 separate spraying lines. Here, the paint is sprayed by hand. At the end of each spraying line, the paint is again hardened in a stoving oven. After the cab has received its finish coat, it goes to the inner cavity and rust-proofing section, where a special rust inhibitor is sprayed as extra protection against corrosion. This is applied at all places which will no longer be accessible when the cab interior has been trimmed. Then, the cab is ready for final trimming. Each cab is accompanied by an identity card which shows exactly which equipment is to be installed. DAF supplies cabs in many variants, and you will hardly ever see two identical cabs on the same production line. The color, the interior, even the curtains, everything is finished exactly as the customer wants it. At the end of this line, the cab is fully trimmed and ready for use. The cab is then given a 100% inspection. After this searching examination, the cab is sprayed with a special underbody coating. This protects the cab against stone chip damage. Now it is ready in every respect, ready for its agreed rendezvous in Eindhoven. Because that is where the chassis is being built, and the engine, that too is being specially built to go with this particular cab. The axles are already on their way from Westerlo to Eindhoven. The cab is loaded onto the DAF transporter and taken to Eindhoven. And there, all the parts meet up as agreed, precisely at the right moment. And precisely on the right day, the truck drives out of the factory, on the way to its work, again, exactly as agreed. One of the more than 70 trucks made by DAF each day, built to do the job for which it was ordered.